Hello and welcome to Geek for Trades.
Your podcast for all things geeky. I'm Greg Barlow,
And I'm Joe Pretorius.
and today you're joining us for It's All Fun and Games.
Indeed. We're
Until
gonna go
somebody plays another game.
until someone loses an eye.
Yeah, please don't lose any eyes on this show.
I would worry.
And if you're considering it home, cut that out.
Not your eye though.
Exactly. Yes. Oh no, what have I done?
What have you done, Craig?
But yes, so today we'll be discussing games of all the computer variety / console variety. I don't know. I don't have any active consoles at the moment. So
Video games, Greg. Just video
Vidima
games.
games, yeah, Vidima games. And that'll be a little bit later in our main section. But first, what you drinking? I saw something pop up there. What you drinking?
It is a Monster Mule once it goes into focus. So it's their ginger beer one, which is quite nice.
Okay, well, I'm a fan of ginger beer, so I must give it a try. Although, weirdly,
what I love about it is like it has to have the whole thing on the reverse because people mix ginger beer with like alcoholic things like quite frequently. It has to be like non-alcoholic.
Yeah, no, my energy drink intake has cut way down since the before times because I haven't been doing anything, so I haven't needed them.
Yeah, no. I sometimes need them, and like this one has just been really good. So yeah.
All I have is a lovely cup of coffee in my icon mug.
Yeah.
Coffee, of course, delicious, and cheers.
Cheers.
Delicious caffeine.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for joining us earlier than our usual slot, everyone. We've been having some power issues and other issues, and so we just decided to get the show on the road.
Yeah. Let's not miss. If you're catching us later on the podcast, welcome, thank you. Do send us like a rating or review. So let us know what you'd like to see. Follow us on all of our usual socials. We're out on and about on most things except for Instagram, really. Which
maybe one day.
I yoinked the Oval Trades Geek thing, so
okay.
I mean that's
so
really
it's there. Yeah, there needs to be like a moment of prophecy when it occurs, or something.
Yes,
that's when the stars align. And,
well, at the moment, it just gets my Warhammer models put up. So
yeah. Okay, well, let's roll on over to a wild news headline.
Indeed.
Where we, of course, will pick up our story from where we left off, and we were heading into I can't remember what we called the city now.
Did we even give it a name? Or like some blue, but not
blue. It was something blue, but I can't remember what, so we're just going to have to go with something new. It's the I'm sure we used a Warhammer paint color.
Oh yeah, we did. We used like Techless Blue or something.
Techless Blue, yeah. It can be Techless Blue City. Techless City.
Yes.
Ruled by an elf. And in Techless City, under his elven fist, there is, of course, the Techless Gym, which would be a gym for you to attend. And a shop for you to buy some sort of conveyance to move yourself along roads. And just outside of the city, if you go a little bit north, there's a famous computer programmer's house. So which would you like to go and visit first?
Oh, I am a programmer by trade, so meeting a fellow programmer could be interesting.
Okay. So you head out of the city. You don't quite go into the city proper. There's some sort of elven blockade, and they're checking passes for non-elves. So you head north and go and visit what would traditionally be called Bill, but I suppose we need a new name for him. So
another William thing.
Yeah, William, the computer programmer, who's known for creating the storage system.
Yes.
Hard drives. In this universe, you do not force your combat animals into tiny bits of data. That's inhumane. And as you get to William's house, traditionally it'll just be like a lovely little cottage that you're gonna like walk into and speak to William, and he'll give you a free voucher for a conveyance in the city. In this case, there's this massive tarp covering something just behind the house, and you're like, what could that be? And you sort of move out there, and William's like, I've wanted to show this to someone for so long, and here is the first headline. And he like reaches to the top and pulls it off, and it's a massive Gundam.
Ooh.
Because the first headline is a live action Gundam film will draw inspiration from multiple timelines.
interesting. Like when I first heard news that they were doing a live action one, I don't know. Like initially, I was like, oh no, that's not going to be good because Western things of like Eastern Mecca is never good. But it's the guys who did Pacific Rim, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly, who picked it up. So I had good hopes from that perspective. But well, the next question was like, which universe?
So
Because
exactly, and then that's
yeah,
what the headline is saying, is they're literally going to take all of the universes and handpick bits they like and
yeah.
smorgasbord them into its universe,
I mean,
and
like
it'll be its own universe.
yeah, I mean, by and large, they've got common themes in all
Mm,
places.
mm,
Obviously, teenager in mecha suit to save the world have
mhm,
some sort of like them versus us between the people on Earth and the people in space,
mm,
like
mm,
because
mm,
that's always a common theme that runs through. But I mean, yeah, I would have suspected that they would have gone with like the original and the sort of like the Into the Zeta
mm,
line and those kinds of things
mhm,
maybe.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like I would have loved to see like a live action with like Char and like all of that kind of stuff. But
Mm,
also, like, how do you fit an entire Gundam series into a movie?
exactly.
Like
It's
that's so
normally spanning
difficult. Like
so long.
yeah,
It'd be like, "Ugh, Netflix movie, go."
yeah, yeah.
Um, so, well, I mean, when asked about this, the director, who is Jordan Vogt Roberts, who I
Mm,
didn't recognize the name all so much, but it might be the Pacific Rim person,
mm.
um, said they wanted to be compared to what J.J. Abrams did with the 2009 Star Trek film. So, sort of like a reboot and re-envisioning
Okay.
that's fresh and new, but still draws inspiration from the originals.
Like to me, like that sounds like the only thing that they get up to is maybe like them fighting in the war sort of like thing, and then in the final scenes getting into a Gundam and kind of being like, oh, it's the Gundam unit sort of like
Mm,
thing, and then
mm,
having to leave like the rest into like follow-up movies, but because
mm.
that's like difficult. It's difficult to get like a whole arc out of there or to
Mm.
just like establish a thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna be difficult. I
right.
I'm still looking forward to it. I want to see what they
Yeah,
do, and like
I mean,
I also want to see like what kind of like what designs they do for it. Like, are we going to see traditional Gundam? Are we going to see like
mm,
Zaku? Are we going to
yeah,
see
they
like
have to put a Zaku in there somewhere, otherwise it's not
yeah,
gonna be a Gundam, right?
no, exactly, and like there's a lot of big difference between even just like Wing to Gundam, like the Turn A stuff, which is just
Mhm,
completely out there as well. The more modern stuff, like as well, like Double Zero and those
mm,
kind of
mm,
machines. So
exactly.
there's a big variation there. I wonder where it'll kind of pop out, honestly.
Yeah, I suppose we're just gonna have to wait and see. It's gonna be on Netflix, so we'll all have access to it.
Eventually, yeah.
So
Unless they
yeah.
region lock it. Oh,
Oh no, then we'll just have to use a VPN,
yeah,
though.
it's true. It's true. Where's that
Uh,
NordVPN
yeah,
sponsorship
yeah,
deal?
sponsored content. No, we wish.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So at William's house, there's this Gundam. It doesn't work yet. There's still
Hmm.
lots of stuff to do before he gets it working.
Hmm.
But he's eager to get it working, and maybe one day we'll have to revisit and have more news on it. But for now,
Indeed.
it's just a lovely statue, just like the one they have in Japan, where you can go and
Well,
look at
the
this.
the new one or the old one? Because like,
The older one that just kind of moves.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
but they changed that one up for the Unicorn Gundam like 2 years ago.
mm,
So it's now the Unicorn Gundam that moves and has like
mm.
the splitty horn thingy
Oh,
and
that's
does the
cool. Yeah.
transformation into like its
Yeah, the
berserk or
unicorn state.
rampage mode or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah, where it goes with all the red.
yeah, yeah. But it
Uh,
literally does that. It's quite cool.
yeah, I went and saw that Gundam in person.
Mm,
Japan.
yeah, it's
It
one of those
was
things that
like
I
in the
just
middle of
want
a
to do.
typhoon. It was great. It's like, I've got to see
It's
it.
need to get myself what are those little guys called? The Ibo, the
These little
yeah,
guys.
yeah, 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 yeah. What are they again?
Harrows in
Harrows.
Gundam Seed, they're called Harrows. I don't know
Yeah,
if
those in the other one's also called Harrows, but like yeah,
yeah.
the Harrow bread.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, this I bought at the Gundam Cafe. It had sweets and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Um, but yeah, okay. So you get a voucher for a free conveyance device
Mm.
from the shop in the city. So you head on back because obviously there's nothing else to see here. You've met William. He's now your best friend in the world
Oh
because that's
yeah.
how this game works.
Yes.
Apparently. You walk into a stranger's house and they make you their friend.
Hmm.
Just like in real life. Don't do this in real life.
Yeah, no.
Um,
Pokemon World's interesting.
like most of
No,
RPG
IP
worlds.
infringing Pocket Monster
Oh,
World
yeah.
is weird. I don't know. Anyway.
Headline world. This is
Yes,
Hedumon world, obviously.
clearly.
We're playing Hedumon right now, which probably sounds worse than it is.
It
We need a better
does.
name. Please
Mm.
send names to info@geekabltrades.co.za of this game. But yeah, so you're once more you get through the strict elven guards. They've got really long pointy hats because they're obviously the new
Files.
Lumineth Realm Lords.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and would you like to now go to the gym and fight
Gym.
for your gym badge, or would you like
Yeah.
to go get your free
No,
conveyance?
it's definitely gym then
Gym
conveyance,
time. Gym time.
Yeah.
Okay. So you head over to the Techless gym,
Hmm.
and this gym is well known for its fog types because of your next headline. Like the doors open and it's just a solid wall of mist
Yeah.
blowing out onto you, and you kind of have to step into this mist, and you can't see a thing. And that's part of the gym mechanic is you got to go through like a maze with mist.
Those are
And
the
you're like,
worst.
wow.
Yeah.
There's constantly trainers jumping out and fighting you that you can't see.
Yeah, yeah.
And because your next headline is Fortnite unites with Mistborn for an unexpected crossover. Now, I don't know if you know the Mistborn series at all.
No, not enough really.
Mm,
Like
mm,
I'm familiar, and it's always been like on my periphery, but
mm,
never
mm.
been like one that I've been like, I'm gonna sink the time into finding an audiobook and sitting down with it.
Yeah. So it's worth read. It's by Brandon Sanderson.
Mm.
And I quite liked the books when I read them quite a few years ago. And the premise is that there's these like wizards who use metals for
Mm.
their type of magic they can do. So depending on what metal you're like attuned to, you eat the metal, and then the amount you have in your body, you can do magic essentially.
Very
Um,
fairy tale with like the dragon slayer
yeah,
magic guys.
yeah. Similar vibes.
Um,
It's quite a good series. I enjoyed it a lot, but the Fortnite crossover I was not expecting because it's like this.
Fortnite grabs everything though. Like
It's
let's be
true.
honest. I mean, isn't there's a Mistborn television series that's like being made, isn't there, or something like that? I heard.
I remember hearing a vague whispers of
Yeah.
that. Let's see. Mistborn TV. Hot news. Mistborn Stormlight Archive can be a film series.
Okay. So there's interest from like people who have
2020.
money. So
Apparently there's scripts for it, but it hasn't been picked up by anyone.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
So yeah, I could see it being a good series, especially with I don't know if you've seen that new Netflix show, Blood and Bone, Dragon and
yes, yeah. Blood and Bone,
Bone, Shadow and Bone.
Shadow and Bone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
That's it's very similar vibes,
Mm,
universe-wise and everything, where they've got this established universe and telling a cool fantasy story.
yeah.
So I could see it being a cool Netflix series very easily. But yeah, so you can unlock like the main character in Mistborn the first main character, because obviously it's a
Yes.
series now,
Yeah. It's a,
lots of main characters,
yeah.
uses like glass daggers because obviously if you use metal against people who specialize in metal, if you stab them, you're giving them power. So
Just hilarious.
because he's like an assassin, right? So glass
Mm,
daggers kill metal mages.
okay.
So you can unlock those now in Fortnite.
Okay.
Glass daggers.
Yeah. Yeah, I must say, Fortnite has like such an interesting sort of like space of just like
Mm,
introducing things and like it's unfortunate in some ways because I mean like things like the Star Wars and like Palpatine's message before the last one is
yeah.
a bit like weird to sort of just like why is this in Fortnite and you know like all other random crossovers and stuff in there like seeing like Kratos do a floss is a bit weird but yeah like it I think it's still cool because there's a lot of eyes you get drawn into that and kind of
Mm,
gets disseminated and like I mean, most Fortnite players are of a certain age as well, where a lot of that can be influential.
mm,
So I think it's an interesting one to kind of at least like expose people to, and
mm,
particularly in like a book series. That's
mhm.
interesting one.
Yeah, fantasy book series, because they seem to be on the rise in popularity, which yay.
Yay! Now, if we can just get Winds of Winter. Ooh.
Well, I've given up on that. That's never going to come out, though.
No, it
Don't be
isn't.
silly.
Yeah.
We'll be ready when it's ready.
Never. So, well, yeah. I mean, we'll probably briefly speak about it later. But like Elden Ring, like I'm surprised it's even getting released, considering that Georgie is writing it. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. So Fortnite's doing its Fortnitey thing.
Mm.
And that's obviously the gym leader is a Fortnite person doing the like flossing or whatever, or one of
Yeah.
the classes.
Clearly.
So you
So
actually
the
there's certain
challenge is to just
advances.
like build a tower quickly.
Oh yeah. And then
Okay,
use
get
cool
behind me.
metal powers like I can't
No,
actually
no, no.
even remember.
That's the challenge, Greg. Is like he starts building a tower. He starts building it out of metal, and you have to know to use the wood one so that you can get up higher.
Yeah, yeah. Cunning. You easily beat this boss, being well prepared and familiar with the Mistborn series.
Totally familiar, Greg. Totally.
Um, and you get your Techless badge.
Hooray!
Imagine it's appearing on the screen right now.
Ooh. Ah, I could totally do. Oh, no, damn it, Greg. Damn it.
Look, you can just at the start of every whatever the segment is called, you can
Yeah,
have it appear at the top of the screen somewhere, like here or there, when you play the theme music, and then
yeah.
it'll be like, "These are how many badges we got so far."
Ooh. Oh, damn it, Greg.
What was the first badge you got? I can't remember. It was
It was the lead badge.
lead. Oh, so you got a lead
Yeah.
badge and a Techless badge, which is just like an
Oh,
elven ear on a badge.
well,
Like,
and then it's those weird horns from like
hmm,
the Luminous.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. So, congratulations on your new badge. You've only got one place left to visit in Techless City.
Let's find out what Texas City provides as modes of transportation.
Okay, so as you head on over to the Segway shop
Ooh.
to get your Segway, because you've got a Segway voucher,
Okay.
you're about to step into the shop when there's like a, a, a weird, like, sort of bird logo on the door blocking your way,
Hmm.
which you will, of course, recognize as the Twitter logo. For your final headline today is, what is Twitter Blue and is it worth $3 a month?
Blue.
Have you heard of
Okay.
Twitter Blue?
I have not, which is surprising. It's like Twitter's my social media thing of
Hmm.
choice.
So Twitter are coming out with a subscription service. So it's like Twitter Prime essentially, or
Hmm.
Twitter Plus, or Twitter Blue in this case.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost you $3 a month if you want to upgrade your Twitter experience, right? And what it gives you is a bookmarks folder to bookmark your favorite tweets to save them for all eternity.
Yeah.
An undo tweet button, which is you've got 10 seconds after tweeting something to undo the tweet. And lastly, something called reader mode,
Okay.
which apparently makes it easier to read a string of tweets together.
Oh, so like someone doesn't have to use like Twit longer or
Yeah, yeah.
things with that.
Um,
I mean, like most people use like plugins and stuff anyway with like TweetDecks and kind of instance like that. So that's a bit of a
yeah.
weird one. I mean, like so the Twitter API has like changed quite a bit in the last few years. It's been
Hmm.
difficult to kind of dev and stuff around it because they like put a lot of like new things in place. But I don't know. I don't know. Why would you pay $3? Like, you know what I would pay $3 for is like an edit tweet button. That would be the thing. That's how they would catch everyone. It would just be like edit tweet. Oh my. But
Yeah, well, that would be quite risque because then how would we have all those Twitter arguments and
yeah,
wars when they
yeah,
come up?
exactly. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one within there because I mean, like, I think that's the one thing that would catch people that was like, hey, cool, we'll edit a tweet, but no, $3 is like that's a Spotify subscription, damn
Yeah,
it.
yeah. If I had to pick between Twitter Plus and Spotify, I know which one I'd pick. Um,
No,
and in
yeah,
fact, it's probably apparent because I'm not going to subscribe to Twitter Blue.
no, me
Um,
either. So like anything there, that sounds a bit. Weird.
Maybe that this is the start, and then it's going to ramp up like Evil Megacorp style, and it'll be
oh
like
yeah.
you can only tweet 5 times a month without a Twitter Blue.
Oh,
Each additional tweet is then $1.
oh, no. Yeah, that'd
Or
be.
Twitter Blue users have twice the number of characters and can use emojis.
Did you see like this last week where the Cloudflare like went down? I forget which one it was. Like the one that effectively like hosted like the Amazon servers and like Reddit and all those sort of things just died for like an hour. And
I
like
heard about it, but I
your
was
emojis, because some of them get hosted by them, they broke. So you had like these really weird looking emojis on some posts. It was quite good.
man, I want to see that. There must be screenshots.
Look at the Fall Guys Twitter. They
Okay.
posted a thing and then they took a screenshot of it before it fixed. They're like, haha. But
Parts out. Yeah,
yeah,
no, I heard mention of it, but I didn't actually. It didn't affect me in any way. So
Greg, you're not programming enough anymore.
really,
Like
well, I mean,
Stack Exchange went down.
all of my programming is done on like proprietary Siemens hardware
Yeah,
and software.
yeah,
So, and they are on like running Windows XP. So,
yeah. Who knows? Yeah, but yeah, no, like yeah. The big thing there was like Stack Exchange went down, and so all like programs were like, oh, feel sorry for the poor people who are trying to fix this problem because they don't have Stack Exchange to look to see how to fix
oh no,
it.
it's like a vicious circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, are you cashing in your voucher for a Segway?
Yes, but not for the Twitter Blue.
That was your option. You could either get Twitter Blue or a Segway.
I'll take the
Um,
Segway.
what color Segway would you like? It's customizable.
Ooh, Scarlet Red.
Scarlet red. Do you want flame motif on the sides as well?
No, no, that's
Okay.
too much.
And extra large wheels or regular wheels?
Ooh, need extra large because it needs to go off the beaten track, man.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so 4x4 wheels on the Segway. Do
Hmm.
do 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 do. If you
Do-
push the select key now, it activates your Segway, and you can travel to another section of the show, like the main section, which we are doing right now via
Ooh.
Segway.
Oh, warning that was great. And I could have put an animation.
Yeah, so main section of the show, we've got gaming or games or anything game adjacent, I guess.
Yeah, kind of in there. Um,
So, what have you
cool.
been
A
doing
lot.
lately?
So it's like saying like the first one, like so like I was like thinking like, oh, there's all these other games, and I was like, wait a second, most of my gaming in the recent past has just been Fall Guys. So let's talk
Mm,
about Fall Guys because
mm,
yeah, it's been a really good season this season.
mhm,
We've been enjoying like streaming it
mm,
like whenever we do, like on Thursdays and Saturdays that we get together for it. And
yeah,
I've
that's what I want.
maxed out my tree already of like the experience for the season 4. So it's
Nice.
been good, and like we're all enjoying it. The new modifiers and new tracks, the new skins, new everything. It's been quite a fun one to go through this year.
Mm.
So I'm looking forward to future ones. Unfortunately, they've changed their beta thing, so I'm not on that anymore.
Oh.
But
But you were such a
yeah,
loyal beta like tester
I
person.
I was, but like they've just changed loads of different things, so I might get a new one. We'll see.
Mm,
They had like a big blowout where the devs played against the beta testers, which I unfortunately missed. But yeah,
oh, mm,
but yeah, it's been a really fun like game there. We're still trying to get like the first crown for like Dylan and Fish, but
mhm,
we'll get there. I
mm,
think there's a lot of like little change ups and stuff to it. The squad mode that they introduced, where it's like cool, you all succeed or you all get through or you all fail, has been quite interesting to play it through. So when you've got a full party of 4, you like kind of like sit there and be like, okay, well I got eliminated in the first round. I'm just gonna watch this other person finish it or whatever.
mm.
Um, and like their weekly sort of like change ups are quite a lot of fun as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see now that they're sort of like owned by Epic Games where they go, and like what sort of like other new deals they can bring in for like skins and such. Because they've had everything from like Nier Automata to Tron to
I was
Godzilla.
I hear Mistborn are offering great pairing
Yeah, exactly right.
opportunities.
So, I think we can kind of see a few of those. And there's a couple of those I'm like really like, oh, that'd be like a really cool skin to like put into there.
Mhm,
We were thinking like, what would be a cool 4 teams sort of like thing there, because you know that you can have 4 in a squad running around. So
Mhm.
like do the Fantastic Four as a crossover,
Mm.
or
Yeah.
do other like 4 teams. And we were thinking like
Mm.
we wouldn't go with Power Rangers, but thinking like, oh, there's always gonna be one missing,
Mm.
stuff like that.
That's why I can't call your Zords.
Oh yeah, yeah,
'Cause it's
exactly.
one missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's been quite cool, and I've been
Mm.
very much enjoying it, and very much enjoying playing it with like other friends and with that.
Mm.
So
Okay.
it's good for just a quick like, oh, let's just go there. Still can't play it solo. Like
Mhm.
refuse to. It's just
Mhm. Not as fun.
wow. Yeah,
Mm.
it just gets frustrating at that point because you're like, ah, you don't have like someone to bitch at when something goes wrong.
Mm. Yeah,
But
it's very much
yeah,
a social game, I think.
yeah, I think it's like it fits into that same like that like sort of like Blood Bowl, where
Mm.
you're just like, oh, it's so unfair, and you don't have someone to bitch at, or you don't have another player to bitch at, so like when you're unlucky or you've made a bad mistake, it becomes a bit of a problem. But
Mm.
yeah, so definitely Fall Guys. It's been a great one, and I'm,
Okay.
I'm looking forward to all that they go.
Yeah, I'm glad it's had such strong staying power,
Mm.
because often games like this kind of come out and then just burn out after the first month or 2, and then it's no more fun to play them anymore. But they seem to be pretty on point about keeping the content up with it
Yeah,
game.
I think that's been a very important thing is about actually getting like new content going, because like if they weren't making new maps or they weren't introducing new mechanics to old maps, I think none of us would be like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, you'd be tired
But
of it.
because there's like a decent, like, cool start of a new season, there's like all these new maps and a new theme, and then like midway through, they do another update where they add in like 1 or 2 new maps, and
Mhm.
like it's always like hard mode maps in the middle of it as well, which is always like fun. But yeah, just
They need
we
to.
we
Mhm.
were playing one round where there's like this one new track called the Slime Skyline. And
Mhm.
like Slime Climb is always like been a very difficult map before, but once people got used to it, like you can qualify. Slime Skyline is like the hard mode of that. And there
Right.
was a stage where we were playing squads mode where it would queue up for that. No one would finish the race except for like 1 or 2 people, and then everyone would qualify through because there were too
Uh,
many eliminations from the squads. So it's been interesting to see like little things like that, and like they've really pushed that, like of making it these really complex and like difficult initially challenges, and seeing how people actually like adjust to it. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm. Mm. 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 Okay. Well, my first game, the game I've probably played most of recently that's not TTS, because that doesn't count, because
it
that's like
doesn't.
tabletop gaming,
It is.
is Solasta. I don't know if you've heard of that yet.
I haven't. No.
So it's using D&D 5e rule set,
Okay.
and it's an RPG adventure game, right? Single player.
Mm.
But the unique thing about it, and what I'm enjoying about it, is when you do your character creation, you pick like tags for your character. So, but loosely based off alignment. So, like you can pick
Okay.
like greedy and authoritative, or like noble, or like a whole just a
Mm.
smorgasbord of tags to
Okay.
define your character when you make them, right?
Mm.
And you make a whole party's worth of characters. So four characters, and each one you customize with these tags.
Okay.
And what it actually does is it sort of like narratively builds the game and dialogue based off the tags you've chosen.
Oh.
So
Okay.
like if you've got, so like for example, I've built my party with like a greedy rogue who's kind of evil, a like mercenary paladin who's kind of like just in it for the money, but also kind of has like must do it,
Moral code. Yeah.
yeah, do it the right way, and
Mm-hmm.
like if you've agreed to something, do it. And like a cleric who's super lawful good, and a wizard who's just all about knowledge. The
Mm.
typical, because I wanted to see how it would pan out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is the dialogue sort of flows in that exact sort of way of like the rogue is always trying to get out of things and like steal the money, and like the wizard only cares about the knowledge, and it's actually,
Mm.
I'm really enjoying it. And even the dialogue options that pop up, you always can pick which character responds, and each
Okay.
character gets a different thing based off their character.
Yeah.
So you get like snarky one liner from the rogue, or like wizard just
Okay.
asking question, or
Yeah. That's an interesting
yeah.
way of doing it. And like,
Mm,
uh, I assume it's an isometric.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of that isometric 0.5 where it's sort of 3D, but like Divinity Original Sin 2, where you tap
Okay.
on view, but
Yeah.
it's better than the old school Infinity Engine, like Baldur's Gate style.
Yeah.
So you can full rotate all the way around and up and down.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
all like grid turn based because it's 5e rules essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Okay.
and
That
yeah.
sounds interesting with it. And like, hmm, what's the basic premise of the story like in all of it?
So the basic premise of the story is it's its own setting called Solasta,
Mm,
and there's this like ancient elven empire that something it's like some cataclysmic event occurred, and it like turned the main city of the empire into like ruins and a wasteland sort of thing, very
mm.
very Mournlands ish.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then all these other nations sort of uh, rose up from the ashes
Hmm.
and like have been building up since then for 1,000 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But all the adventurers kind of flock to the cities on the borders of this wasteland because there's constant like raids to go and get treasure and stuff
Yeah.
from inside the ruins. And they've got this thing in the game that makes perfect sense and needs to be in every single like tabletop RPG for hence more. They've got a thing called the
Yeah.
Scavengers Guild,
Oh.
where if you go if you contract with the Scavengers Guild, when you go into like a dungeon or any sort of region, and you know how there's always like 500 spears that get dropped and 500
Yes.
chainmail vests and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that you don't need because you're an adventurer with a magic sword and a glowing
Yes.
armor.
Yeah.
But if you've contracted the Scavengers Guild, they will come in after you. Like you just let them know, hey, I cleared out that cursed fort on the hill there.
Yes.
Scavengers Guild sends a whole group of people there. They scavenge all that stuff and give you a cut of the profit.
Oh, that's quite
So you
cool.
don't have to load your inventory with all these like spears and
It's like your adventuring party gets like a lower level adventuring party to just do the
yeah,
stuff.
exactly. I thought it was a brilliant idea. It's very clever. But they've also got like
Yeah.
the Scavengers Guild has like political influence in the city and stuff because everyone uses them. Like
Yes. Yeah.
so all the great houses and stuff don't like acknowledge them, but realize they have true power. So it's like, hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it so far. Interesting
Okay.
storyline so far as well, like mysterious race of lizard people showing up out of nowhere, so on and so forth. You know, the usual.
Sometimes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's high fantasy in a D&D setting. You know, you
Mhm.
have to have those kind of things. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
What else have
I
you been
I will
playing?
take a look at that. Well, another one that I picked up sort of recently, and it's been a bit of fun, but like has been a bit buggy, unfortunately.
Mhm.
Is the Necromunda hired gun game?
Yes, I saw that was
Yeah,
coming out, but I didn't realize it had been released yet.
yeah. Released like 2 weeks ago or so, sort of thing. And some of my friends have got ridiculous hours of game time in it already, which
Nice.
I mean bodes well for certain things there. I would have more, but it crashed on me. Like, and I was just
Oh,
like,
no.
well, I'm gonna just wait a little bit until this is a little bit more, concrete. So there's been some patches and stuff in the meantime, but it's quite a lot of fun. I mean, for someone who's like 40K person,
Mhm,
it's
yeah.
very interesting. I mean, like
Invested
Necromunda
in them all.
is, yeah, Necromunda is a bit of a sort of like very specific part of that all,
Yeah,
I suppose.
it's
But
true. But
it's
it's still
interesting.
fun.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to see is like hive worlds and like the sort of like general citizen of the Imperium kind of thing. Although not really, because you're a bounty hunter on one of these worlds. But it's quite interesting. They've got like Jericho as one of like the main like
Mhm.
friends like at the start of the
Friends.
game. There's Jericho, of course. But it's quite interesting to see just the things there. The gunplay is it's more loose, so it kind of
Mhm.
feels somewhere between a mix between Doom and Titanfall, which is
Mm.
a kind of interesting overlap to have. So your mobility is very Titanfall. You can wall run and you can slide, and you can do all kinds of like interesting things with that,
Mhm.
and double jump and those kinds of things. And then the gunplay and the sort of like enemies and such is very Doom in that like okay, as your health gets lower and you kill people, you get health back
Mm.
and interesting things like there. But there's obviously a lot of things that are very 40k. So you've got
Mhm.
your slug throwers, but there's plasma
Mm.
guns, and I'm waiting until there's a bolter because there must be a bolter at some point, and this character's like,
Yeah.
how do Space Marines even use this? um, but it's also interesting because I mean, like your character's like very bionic,
Mhm.
and like you have to go through like this like sort of like Chirurgen, and it's very much just like the flesh is weak. Eventually, we will replace you all. You're just like I hate you, but
Very sharp.
yeah, but it's quite cool. Like you've got a pet like mastiff as well. It's a
Mm.
cyber mastiff, and
Mhm.
you can like upgrade it as well and do all sorts of little things. And then another thing to the gameplay, it has a bit of a Borderlands feel a bit because there's a bit of a looter shooter sort of thing where it's like, okay,
Mhm.
go out, get better gear, equip yourself, and kind of have a bit of a loop as you go through the storyline and kind of pick up new missions and go through the areas and such.
Mhm.
It does lead to a little bit of like weird spawning of enemies where they'll be like, okay, well, I've cleared this region, I'm going to move forward to the next thing, and then like a party will respawn behind you. It's like, what? I
Right.
just cleared that.
No.
Um, but it's quite a bit of fun. I mean, very fast paced, and it's just made me realize that I need a better resolution screen, which is
Uh-huh.
annoying. But oh well, that's another thing to think about. But yeah, lots of fun. Definitely for any 40k Necromunda fan,
Mm.
I'd
Mm. Mm.
very much suggest it because it's got like all the gangs in there and little
That's
interactions and stuff with it. So yeah, very cool.
okay. Nice. Nice. I must check it out. Maybe when it's on
Mm.
special at some stage.
It's fairly cheap. I think it's like
Plus-
200 grand or something like that at the
oh,
moment.
that's
So
okay. Then that's
yeah.
not so bad. I was expecting it to be like because it's like
No, no, it's an indie that's made it.
oh,
So
it's more indie. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Then I'll consider getting it at full price.
Mm.
um, well, speaking of like gunslinging futuristic games, I've been playing Griftlands. I don't know if you've seen that.
I have. It's always been like it's been on my periphery because like
Mhm.
guys like Trump or some of the like Hearthstone players do it on
Mm.
their streams, kind of put it on the side.
Mm.
So it's been interesting to kind of just see there and kind of be like, oh, it's a narrative deck building game
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing,
So,
which it's not quite like say the Spire,
mm.
but something
But it's
that's
very similar, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah,
But the best thing about it, and what I'm actually enjoying about it, is there's two sort of decks you build. There's your combat deck, and then there's your like persuasion deck, right?
yes, yeah,
And the persuasion deck is completely different sort of style of play to the combat play. Combat play is much more traditional slay the spire, sort of
mm,
left and right hand sides of the screen. Left side attacks right side attacks left side.
yeah,
Whilst the persuasion deck is like two like core arguments, and you add
yes,
more arguments to your persuasion, and then your certain arguments do certain things to his. And I way more enjoy that. That's way more fun for me.
yeah,
So literally, the way I play the game is because you like pick your path almost.
yes.
So I always just prioritize the
Persuasive narrative
persuasion
way,
tasks.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh man, this is a fighting task. Oh, fuck my camera. That's how irate I was with the fighting task.
Yes, yeah.
Um, yeah, so I'm enjoying it mostly just for the persuasion challenges,
Well, that's
and
fine.
and
Like if you
roguelike's
get the
always fun.
yeah,
Like,
if you get like a core loop, so like that's
mm,
all that you really need with it.
mhm,
And
and
it's
mm,
fairly rogue-like in that you
mm,
run through a path and like come
mhm,
back and do it again, sort of like thing, and
yeah,
see the different
yeah.
branches.
You sort of you also like certain upgrades you get as you go along persist through your next
Yes,
run. So like I'm enjoying it. It's a nice game to just sort of like, I've got a few minutes to play a few rounds of it or whatever,
mm.
whilst I wait for the chicken to cook in the oven or whatever.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that sounds good. Um,
So it's
it's
good. It's a heavy sci-fi theme as well, which is
mm.
quite nice. And sort of like uh, I wanted to say Borderlandsy, but not quite. It's like
It's kind of in that sort of like deserty world where like there's lots
yeah,
of scavengers and kinds of
scavengers and
things, but
stuff.
it's not
Yeah,
as
scrap,
over the top
scrap
like sort of thing.
sci-fi. I don't know.
Yeah.
There must be an actual phrase for it. What it's called when it's like that sort of like scavenger world.
Hmm.
It's like Outback.
Star new Star Wars episode 1 of a new series.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Jakku,
Jakku
Jakku
or
sci-fi world. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
um, yeah. So give it a go if you want a nice little roguelike.
Yeah, sounds good. Like
Mm,
it's been on my radar, so I'll probably pick it
mm,
up at some point soon. Don't know when. There's just too much. Really is. Yeah.
mhm.
One of the other games, sort of like thing, continuing with the sort of like more indie sort of side of things, is a game called Lacuna.
Yes, I've been playing that as well.
Yeah,
On your
yeah.
recommendation, thank you.
It's a lot of fun sort of thing because it's like they bill it as a point and click adventure that's not point and click. And it's more of an active, and it does have a lot of those kinds of feels because like you're playing this detective in the adjacent future of another galaxy sort of like thing where they've branched off into other worlds and there's intergalactic travel, and the game starts with like a prologue where it's the initial like developers on one of the new worlds, and there's a big accident where it just wipes out like a whole bunch of people,
Mm,
and it then picks up the story X many years later where this new colony is trying to be like, we want to be independent. Come on, guys, we're no longer to this other thing. There's another planet that's also sort of like in the system that also has an interplanetary traveling race that's also got like a whole bunch of intrigue and stuff. And it starts with you as this investigator who is put in charge of looking after the like ambassador, and then things happen, and you
mhm,
then start getting
mhm,
on this big trail, and they start throwing things at you, and it's quite cool
mhm.
because there's no save, so you can't scum save it. You just have to kind of go through and make your decisions and be like, okay, I think this is what's happened here.
Mm, mm, mm,
Um, and it's been interesting because like, there's little personal intrigues for your
mm,
character, and there's like all sorts of like other politicking kind of stuff that's going around. Um, and it's just like a really interesting story to play through for that reason.
mm. Yeah, and what I've actually really liked about the investigation system as well is it's like it sort of holds your hand in that it's like multiple choice answers to the questions you're investigating. But then it's also sneaky because it can also trick you by giving you like false clues almost.
Yes.
If you're
Yeah.
not careful with your investigation, you can get the wrong answer to a like trying something you're trying to solve, which will
Yeah.
then affect you negatively in the storyline, which I'm really enjoying. Like just being a little bit patient paid off, and I was like, oh
Yes.
man, I'm so glad I was patient
Yeah.
without ruining anything in the game, obviously. But uh,
Mm. Oh, I
uh,
mean, it's interesting with it because I mean, like you'll have like investigation where you'll like interrogate certain people, and they'll come back and forth, and they'll each have conflicting stuff, and you have to like
mhm,
match it to timelines and
mm,
kind of actually reevaluate some kinds of things within there. So yeah, a lot of fun.
If
Very
you're a
much
fan of
suggested.
detective noir style
Yes.
pixel art games,
Yeah,
this one's for you.
it really is. It's very like niche, but yeah.
Mm. It literally is my cat. Like, if I
Yes.
look in the category, like, yeah, detective noir
Yes.
pixel art game
Yeah.
with sci-fi elements. Like, so are you choosing to smoke or not smoke?
Um, Mixed and matched.
Mm.
I've like been like, when it makes sense for the character to smoke, I've
Yeah,
smoked.
yeah, you've stopped for a smoke
There's
break.
been like it's been a tough thing. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you get the nice views, right? Like,
Yeah, exactly,
I'm also like,
exactly.
yeah, I want to see the nice view.
Yeah. It's like there's no bad things. This is a world where there is no cancer or any like
Yeah,
bad things to this except for
you know,
smoking. So
it being a habit, yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
costing money.
yes.
um, but yeah, good game.
Mm,
Uh, I must actually finish it. I think I'm about halfway through, so I must
okay,
put more
nice.
hours into it.
Yeah,
But I got sidetracked and haven't had a chance to pick it up again.
it happens. It happens.
Life.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Uh,
yeah, okay. So
that's
that was the next one in my list, by the way. So
well,
I
there we
guess
go.
I'll just do a different one.
Okay.
So let's see. One interesting thing I did, it was about a few weeks ago actually,
Mm.
was Star Citizen had the Invictus launch week. So I don't know if you heard anything about that.
No, like Stars and I've
Yeah.
deliberately just been like, whatever.
I
It's
mean,
never
I'm
going to
I'm
get released.
very
Or
similar, right? But so the only thing I've ever purchased for Star Citizen is the dogfighting module, which is like
yes.
the cheapest entry level
Mm.
thing, and this gave me access to this Invictus launch week. Which, to their credit, well, okay, no. So I started off doing it and immediately glitched through a wall and
I've
couldn't
seen that
go.
they're like, oh yeah, let's just put this box in this thing and have it crush you, and the physics are just
Um,
awful.
but once I finally figured out how to get out of my bed,
Yes.
it was quite a cool little narrative thing they did where in universe they have the like military was doing the launch of the ship called the Invictus, and
Mm.
they had an open day for the military at a convention center. So your character could get on the
Okay.
train travel to the convention center, and they had all the ships kind of on display. Like it was almost like going to the Rand show for Star Citizen. And you could like climb into all the ships and look at all the things. And that was fun. Like it was a fun way to just go around and look at all the cool ships they've designed. I still don't think the game's going to come out anytime soon.
I don't think it ever will. I'm just like, they've just taken all this money and they're kind of making tech demos for the rest of eternity.
I mean, it's cool ships, and I'm certainly not pumping any more money into it. So, but
we'll
when it have open days, I'll go and check out the cool ship designs. Why, Cameron? Why?
It's just because it didn't appreciate your.
It's like how dare you be playing Star Citizen. But and then I tried flying my ship and couldn't figure out how to dock. So you could also fly any of the ships. There was like free rentals. But I didn't have. I was just messing around like one Saturday morning, and I didn't have time to do that. So.
Okay, sounds interesting. I think we'll see when we eventually get there. I don't know if we will at that point when it's gone gold, then I might be like, okay, I'm interested. But until that point, I'm like, nah, I don't.
You're not going to hold our breath.
Exactly. Well, looks like we're running on our towards our ending time. Something. So I've got like a couple of like quick hits, sort of like mentioned through. So war pips. Which is sort of like a tug of war pixel sort of like game where you like summon units, and you don't control them. You just summon. You control what you summon. You control like sort of like how it does, and it's a general campaign going across thing.
It looks fun. I've seen YouTube playing it.
Yeah, it is pretty fun. It's also pretty cheap to get, sort of thing. Genesis Noir, which is sort of like a very interesting, weird game. Kind of, it's a like jazz sort of very abstract, talking about the beginning of the universe, but through very weird kind of ways of doing it. Where there's like the time and the Big Bang, and
you might have mentioned this one to me already. Actually,
yeah, it's really interesting.
But I haven't played it.
Yeah, so that's interesting, and quite a bit of fun. Then Loop Hero, like if you haven't played Loop Hero is very good. It just released their 1.1 patch, which adds in new tiles and stuff. So that's gonna be picked up as a refresh for me again. Then there was a game called The Life and Suffering of Sir Brant.
I still haven't given that a try yet either.
It's so good. Like also like multiple choice, and like a lot of the things matter. Like the last chapter is very difficult to kind of get like a good ending in. So you have to kind of be very much like, okay, I need to very much know what my character is doing, kind of set things up to getting in there. But I played through that final chapter a few times, kind of be like, okay, let's see if we can actually get this to not everyone dies, because that happened a few times. Yeah, those were like a few other little short games that I got through and played through. So
yeah, I'm trying to remember what was the name. Like, there's that kingdom building game that I've forgotten the name of, but I really enjoyed that when I played through it as well. That's my quick hit, but I've forgotten the name already, and it's not in my Steam library because I've obviously finished it. It's the one that you play the king, and it's literally you sit on the king's throne, and like your commoners come to you with problems.
Reigns?
You give a solution to the problem.
Reigns? Sounds like Reigns.
Yeah, that sounds like Reigns. I think it's Reigns. So that I really enjoyed because that story was really, really well written. And then otherwise, I've also been playing Dyson Sphere Program, which is really fun. If you like that sort of, if you like the Factorio style, build your thing. This is amazing because it just pumps it up to the millionth degree, because you literally have whole planets that you've now built factories on to build a Dyson sphere around the sun, which is insane.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, is there like combat in that game, or is it just all these something? Okay,
just entirely building. Like the only thing that can go wrong with you is if you're traveling from planet to planet and you don't properly have enough fuel. You could just get lost in space and just forever. So there's no way to go back. So like, and that only happens in the early games because obviously you're like using like early techs of fuels and stuff. And by late game, you've got such efficient fuel sources and stuff that you can afford to, and you get like warp travel to go to other solar systems because you've got to literally pool an entire galaxy's worth of resources into your Dyson sphere.
Okay.
and
That
set
sounds
up
good. Yeah.
logistics networks of these transport ships that are like warping in resources that you're mining from other systems. And it's really
That's
fun.
pretty cool. Yeah.
I wish it was multiplayer because then I would like set up a server for a whole lot of people to just
All the
like
Dyson sphere.
army
Yeah.
ant
Yes.
all the
Yeah.
Dyson sphere, which is quite fun.
Sounds pretty good.
But yeah, and then my last little nugget will be Outer Wilds, which I played through to fruition.
Okay.
Really good story if you enjoy time loops.
Yeah, it was an interesting one with there.
Um,
Like the some of the space or some of the flight mechanic was a bit like disorientating in that game,
mm,
but
but once you get
um,
used to it, after the first few deaths, it's
yeah,
easy stuff.
I don't know. Like I know from, and I think as a warning with it, like if you got motion sick from playing the original Prey,
Hmm.
um, you will get motion sick playing Outer Wilds. So just be
Mhm.
warned with that, because like there's
Mhm.
that section where you go into the monster sort of like thing, and
Mm.
like oh no,
Yeah, well,
just
there's the Dark Bramble. You see, and the Dark Bramble is
yes,
like a non-quantum structure.
yeah,
So you can enter like in one point, and it actually, like, if you shoot a probe, it follows the probe signal. And normally, when
mm,
you shoot a probe, it's just on your screen, and then the probe lands there, and it goes, "Probe is here," you know.
yeah,
But if you shoot a probe into the Dark Bramble, it goes zoom, and it goes into the Dark Bramble, and then there's 3 probe signals
yes.
that all land, and you're like, "Oh
Oh
no."
no, yeah, yeah,
Um, but it was a very fun game, very good story, very impactful story as well, which is great.
yeah. It was nice
If
when
you
you
play
catch that.
it to the end,
Yeah,
worth it. Pays off.
yeah,
Hmm. Okay.
cool.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to
Right
start
on
wrapping
there.
up there.
Let me quickly list some things I want to look forward to, because like
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah,
August is
we've
going
still
to
got
be terrible,
5,
Greg.
10 minutes.
Terrible. There's the new Battlefield.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's
Dun, dun, dun,
Humankind.
dun. Yeah, Humankind looks really good. I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to that.
I'm very tempted by the open beta, the closed beta at the moment
Hmm,
actually. So I'm like,
hmm. I've been
but
following
I'll wait. I'll wait.
Potatoes videos
Yeah,
and
Play Minute Whiskey has been like very good for it.
mhm,
Then Death's Door, which looks quite cool. It's
mm,
like kind of Hades-esque, but not quite. You're playing like a crow working for death and having to go
mhm,
out and reap people.
mm,
Um, Oxenfree 2 is also coming out soon, which
mhm.
if you haven't played the first Oxenfree, that's a much
Solid
later sort of like thing, but you should play that. It's good.
solid adventure game.
Yeah,
Mm.
horror sort of like
Horror
it's
adventure game,
it's
but
good.
solid. Yeah.
And then 12 Minutes, I'm really looking forward to. I don't know if you've heard of it.
I haven't even heard of that.
So it's a time loop game where you have 12 minutes, and it's like you're
Ah,
playing as this couple, and it's like Daisy Ridley and who's I can't remember the male actor for it, but like they sit down to dinner, and all of a sudden this guy just bursts down the door and demands them to like tell them what happened, sort of like thing. And
okay.
each time you loop through trying different things and trying to discover like what has happened in the past, why is this guy here, and like trying to murder you.
What's
So
causing the loop?
I don't know. Like they don't
Okay.
explain that
Is that
either,
part
sort
of
of
the
thing.
story, or is it just
Probably,
a weird coincidence?
probably part of the story. I would think.
Okay.
Like I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
come out like that, but like they haven't told too much about it,
Mm,
which is quite
mhm,
cool in my own way. Like I'm looking
mm,
forward to seeing like, okay, well, how does this loop through, and how do we get
mhm.
through, and like how much can they stretch out this sort of like 12-minute loop, and just this apartment space that you're in, because you're locked into this little
Yeah,
apartment to do it
into
in.
that space, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I think that was one of my favorite things in Outer Wilds, was discovering why you were looping and
yes,
what you could do with it and all that.
yeah,
So,
yeah. So we'll
mm,
see how that shakes out. I think it's going to be quite a cool one to see.
mm, yeah. Okay. I don't have any upcoming game because I apparently don't look into the future as much as you do. I'm just like, oh, cool, this cool game came out, and then I play
Yes.
it.
It pays
Although I
sometimes.
guess Humankind, I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, no,
Um,
definitely. Like I
mm,
think it's going to be like they're talking about it as not being like Civ, like it being a more of a
mm.
narrative
Yeah,
game
yeah.
than a Civ game.
Sort of an
So
adaptation and a growth from Civ. Like it's
yeah,
its own thing, but taking Civ inspiration, sort of thing.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the guys that did like Endless Legend and those kinds of
Mm,
games. So
mm.
they've
And I
got the
really like
pedigree
this
about
stuff.
it. So yeah,
Mm. So high hopes. Hopefully they don't let us down.
hopefully not.
Yeah. Paradox, I think it's Paradox, maybe? I don't know. Can't
I think
remember the
so.
name of the company
Yeah,
that does it.
yeah, I think it is.
Something like Paradox.
Mm, mm.
Yeah. Okay.
think
That
that's
brings
all of our.
us onto the hour. Yeah. So, audience, send us some of your favorite games you've been playing lately and what you're looking forward to, even. We'd like to know as well. Maybe you can give us some tips on things we should be playing.
True, and games which might be playing on like stream with like the modem,
Yeah.
etc.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, there's only a short amount of time before the next WoW expansion. Well, not WoW. Oh, I say WoW expansion. Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
The
Wow,
first patch is
pass.
just taking forever.
So
So
I have a confession, though. I've been
I'm
playing
psyched
Final
if you're
Fantasy
14.
14.
Oh, I thought so. I'm very tempted to start it as well. So
It's I mean, I'm enjoying it so far. I've only done like the initial sort of intro quests part, and I'm like level 10. But the
hmm
first 60 levels are free, so I'm like, well, I might as well try them,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
And I originally long ago played the game when it first came out,
When it was
and
before Realm Reborn or after
no,
Realm
before
Reborn?
that.
Oh
When it
wow.
was like initial game, and it was pretty
Mm,
rough around the
yeah,
edges.
it was.
And then Realm Reborn redid everything, and I didn't replay it then, but now
Mm,
I'm getting all the Realm Reborn content. I'm like, this game is so much more polished now.
yes,
But
yes.
still kind of an old game, if that makes any sense.
Apparently, that's like the beginning experience is like that.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the end game stuff from like their second expansion forward apparently is where it like kicks into being
Mhm.
a whole other matter. So
Mm.
yeah,
So I don't know. I'll see if I keep it up. It was just on a passing fancy, mostly from because of
Nox.
Telias and Avatar actually mentioning it.
And yeah, for me
Yeah, I
it's
was
been
like, hey, I wonder if I
Bevular.
can give it a
So
try. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
um, so no, that was only just the other day that I tried it out. So I'll
Okay,
keep
well,
at it.
it's been on my radar as well. So
Yeah, give it a try. We can
will
compare
do.
notes. Maybe we can have an MMO episode at one stage.
Mhm.
Mm. Uh,
So long, so much drought of not getting new content for a while.
okay, yeah. Thanks for listening, everyone. That was a bonus
Indeed,
game we added onto the end there.
it's true, it's true.
That was like the end credits scene of
Yes,
this episode,
yeah,
except it's not at the end credits because we don't do end credit scenes.
we don't
It's a
yet.
pre-end credit scene.
Hmm,
Um, yes. So thanks for listening.
indeed.
Give us a like and a subscribe on all the various platforms and medias and socials and
Mhm.
all of that jazz. And yeah, happy gaming.
Indeed. We'll catch you around.
Mm. Cheerio.
Ciao.